After 60, one simple timing rule can let you keep your coffee and still sleep through the night, and most seniors have no idea. By the end of this video, you'll know why caffeine stays in your system twice as long after 60, the exact time cutoff that can protect your sleep without giving up coffee. 4 coffee timing mistakes that sabotage rest, and 4 simple alternatives for afternoons and evenings when you still crave something warm. Important: this is educational information only, not medical advice. If you have heart conditions, anxiety, acid reflux, or take medications, always discuss caffeine intake with your healthcare provider before making changes. Here's what changes after 60. Your liver processes caffeine more slowly. In younger adults, caffeine has a half-life of about 3 to 5 hours. That means if you drink coffee at 8 a.m., half the caffeine is gone by 1 p.m. But after 60, that half-life extends to 6 to 10 hours, or even longer. Some research suggests that older adults may retain caffeine in their system up to twice as long as younger people, meaning that afternoon coffee at 2 p.m. could still be affecting your brain at midnight. Your sleep architecture also becomes more fragile. Deep sleep decreases, and you're more easily disrupted by stimulants like caffeine. The good news: you don't have to quit coffee. You just need to work with your body's new rhythm. We're going to walk through the 4 worst coffee timing mistakes first. Then I'll share the 4 smarter strategies that let you enjoy coffee and still sleep well. Let's start with mistake number 4. Let's start with coffee timing. Mistake number 4. Drinking coffee first thing in the morning on a completely empty stomach. Now, I know this is how millions of people start their day. You wake up, stumble to the kitchen, and pour that first cup before eating anything. It feels like the natural thing to do. But here's what most people don't realize. When you drink coffee on an empty stomach, especially after 60, the caffeine hits your bloodstream harder and faster. Without food to slow absorption, you get a sharper spike in energy, but also a sharper crash later. More importantly, coffee is highly acidic. Some evidence suggests that drinking coffee on an empty stomach can increase stomach acid production, potentially worsening symptoms of acid reflux, GERD, or gastritis, conditions that become more common with age. For seniors with sensitive digestion or those taking medications that irritate the stomach lining, this can lead to discomfort, heartburn, or even nausea. There's also a blood sugar issue. Coffee, particularly on an empty stomach, can cause a temporary spike in cortisol and blood sugar. For people managing diabetes or prediabetes, this early morning surge can make blood sugar control more difficult throughout the day. Who should be extra careful? Anyone with acid reflux or GERD, people with gastritis or ulcers, seniors taking medications on an empty stomach, those managing diabetes or blood sugar issues, and anyone prone to anxiety, since the rapid caffeine absorption can intensify jittery feelings. What should you do instead? Wait 30 to 60 minutes after waking before having coffee. Better yet, eat something first, even a small piece of whole grain toast, a handful of nuts, or a hard-boiled egg. This slows caffeine absorption, protects your stomach lining, and creates more stable energy throughout the morning. Important caution: if you take thyroid medication like levothyroxine, you need to wait at least 30 to 60 minutes after taking it before having coffee, as caffeine can interfere with absorption. If you take blood pressure medications, check with your doctor about timing coffee intake, as caffeine can temporarily raise blood pressure. Coffee timing mistake number 3, drinking coffee during your body's natural cortisol peak. This one surprises people because it sounds counterintuitive. Most of us reach for coffee the moment we feel groggy. But here's the science. Your body produces cortisol naturally throughout the day in a pattern called the circadian rhythm. Cortisol is often called the stress hormone, but it's also your body's natural wake-up signal. In most people, cortisol peaks around 8 to 9 a.m., about 30 to 60 minutes after waking. During this time, Your body is already working to make you alert. Some research suggests that drinking coffee during this natural cortisol peak may reduce caffeine's effectiveness because your body is already stimulated. More importantly, adding caffeine on top of high cortisol can create an overstimulation effect, leaving you jittery, anxious, or even more tired once both wear off. After 60, this becomes more relevant because cortisol regulation can become less stable. Some older adults experience prolonged cortisol elevation, which can interfere with sleep quality later in the day. Who should be extra careful? People with anxiety disorders or high stress levels, seniors with irregular sleep patterns, anyone taking medications for anxiety or depression, and those with high blood pressure, since cortisol and caffeine together can elevate blood pressure more than either alone. What should you do instead? Wait until your cortisol naturally starts to drop, usually around 9:30 to 10:30 a.m. This is when coffee can give you the most benefit without overstimulating your system. Think of it this way. Let your body wake itself up first, then use coffee as a gentle boost mid-morning rather than an emergency jumpstart. Important caution. If you have an anxiety disorder or take anti-anxiety medications, be particularly mindful of this timing. Caffeine during high cortisol periods can worsen anxiety symptoms. If you have an arrhythmia or irregular heartbeat, excessive stimulation from caffeine plus cortisol may trigger palpitations. Discuss safe caffeine limits with your cardiologist. Coming in at number 2, drinking coffee after 2 p.m. This is the big one, and it's the mistake most seniors make without realizing how much it's costing them in sleep quality. As I mentioned earlier, caffeine has a half-life of 6 to 10 hours in older adults. That means if you have a cup of coffee at 2 p.m., half of that caffeine could still be in your system at 8 p.m., or even later. But here's what really matters. Even small amounts of caffeine can disrupt your sleep architecture. You might fall asleep, but caffeine reduces the amount of deep, restorative sleep you get. Some evidence suggests that consuming caffeine within 6 hours of bedtime can reduce total sleep time by over an hour and significantly decrease sleep efficiency in older adults. After 60, when deep sleep is already naturally decreasing, this becomes a serious problem. You wake up feeling unrested, fatigued, and mentally foggy, not because you didn't sleep, but because you didn't sleep well. The tricky part is that many people don't connect afternoon coffee with poor sleep. They think, I had that coffee at 2 and I went to bed at 10. That's 8 hours. But the caffeine doesn't care about the clock. It's still actively blocking adenosine receptors in your brain, preventing the deep sleep cycles you desperately need. Who should be extra careful? Anyone with insomnia or difficulty staying asleep, seniors who wake up frequently during the night, people taking sleep medications. Since caffeine can reduce their effectiveness, those on diuretics, since caffeine increases urination and can worsen nighttime bathroom trips, and anyone with anxiety as poor sleep worsens anxiety symptoms. What should you do instead? Set a hard cutoff. No coffee after 12 noon if you're highly sensitive to caffeine, or 2 p.m. at the absolute latest for most people. If you crave something warm in the afternoon, switch to decaf, herbal tea, or one of the alternatives we'll discuss shortly. Important caution. If you take sleep medications like zolpidem or esopiclone, combining them with afternoon caffeine can reduce their effectiveness and leave you groggy the next morning without having slept well. If you're on diuretics for blood pressure or heart failure, late-day caffeine can increase fluid loss and worsen dehydration. Talk to your doctor about safe timing. And here's coffee timing. Mistake number 1, drinking coffee, even decaf, too close to bedtime. A lot of people think it's decaf, so it's fine to have after dinner or even at 8 p.m. But here's the truth most people miss. Decaf coffee is not caffeine-free. A typical 8-ounce cup of decaf still contains 2 to 15 milligrams of caffeine. That might not sound like much compared to regular coffee's 95 to 200 milligrams, but for highly sensitive seniors, it can still interfere with sleep. Some research indicates that even low doses of caffeine consumed close to bedtime can delay sleep onset and reduce overall sleep quality, particularly in older adults whose caffeine sensitivity increases with age. But there's another issue. Coffee, even decaf, is acidic. Drinking it close to bedtime can trigger acid reflux or heartburn when you lie down, making it difficult to fall asleep or causing you to wake up in discomfort. Finally, there's a psychological conditioning aspect. If you've been drinking regular coffee for years, your brain associates the taste, smell, and ritual of coffee with alertness. Even if the caffeine is minimal, the sensory experience can send wake-up signals to your brain. Who should be extra careful? People with GERD or acid reflux, since lying down after coffee can worsen symptoms, highly caffeine-sensitive individuals, anyone with anxiety or panic disorders, those taking medications that slow caffeine metabolism, and seniors who wake frequently due to heartburn or indigestion. What should you do instead? If you want a warm evening beverage, choose something truly caffeine-free and less acidic, like chamomile tea, Rooibos tea, or warm almond milk with cinnamon. If you love the ritual of coffee after dinner, try switching to a chicory-based coffee alternative, which has a similar flavor but zero caffeine. Important caution: if you have GERD or take proton pump inhibitors for acid reflux, avoid all coffee, even decaf, within 3 to 4 hours of bedtime. If you're on sleep medications or benzodiazepines, even small amounts of caffeine can interfere with their effectiveness. So those are the 4 worst coffee timing mistakes: drinking coffee on an empty stomach, consuming it during your cortisol peak, having it after 2 p.m., and assuming decaf is safe close to bedtime. But here's the important part. You don't have to quit coffee. The 4 smarter strategies I'm about to share will help you keep coffee in your life while protecting your sleep, digestion, and overall health. Let's start with strategy number 4. Better coffee strategy number 4, the 30-minute breakfast rule. This is simple but incredibly effective. Wait at least 30 minutes after waking up and eat something before having your first cup of coffee. Why does this work? First, it gives your cortisol time to do its natural job of waking you up. By waiting, you're not overstimulating your system right out of the gate. Second, eating before coffee slows caffeine absorption. Food in your stomach acts like a buffer, creating a steadier, more sustained energy boost rather than a sharp spike and crash. Third, it protects your stomach lining from the acidic effects of coffee, reducing the risk of heartburn, gastritis, or digestive discomfort. Some evidence suggests that consuming caffeine with food may also reduce its impact on blood sugar fluctuations, which is particularly beneficial for seniors managing diabetes. How to use this strategy? Set a simple routine. Wake up, hydrate with a glass of water, eat a small balanced breakfast, like eggs and toast, Greek yogurt with berries, or oatmeal with nuts. Then enjoy your coffee 30 to 60 minutes later. You'll notice the energy feels smoother, your stomach feels better, and you avoid the jittery, anxious feeling that can come from coffee on an empty stomach. Practical tip: if you're pressed for time, even eating a handful of almonds or a piece of whole grain toast is better than nothing. The key is getting something in your stomach before the coffee. Caution note: if you take thyroid medication, this timing works perfectly. Take your medication when you wake up, eat breakfast 30 minutes later, then have coffee. If you have diabetes, pairing coffee with food helps stabilize blood sugar, but monitor your response since caffeine can still affect glucose levels. Better coffee strategy number 3. Aim for the mid-morning sweet spot, around 9:30 to 11 a.m. This is when your natural cortisol levels start to dip slightly, making it the ideal time to introduce caffeine for maximum benefit without overstimulation. By waiting until mid-morning, you're working with your body's natural rhythm rather than against it. Some research suggests that caffeine consumed during mid-morning hours may be more effective at improving alertness and cognitive performance compared to immediate consumption upon waking. This timing also means the caffeine will be mostly cleared from your system by evening, protecting your sleep quality. How to use this strategy? Shift your coffee ritual from first thing in the morning to mid-morning break. Think of it as a strategic energy boost, rather than an emergency wake-up call. If you wake at 7 a.m., have your coffee around 9:30 or 10 a.m. If you wake at 6 a.m., aim for 9 a.m. Adjust based on your personal schedule, but the principle is the same. Wait until your body has naturally woken itself up. Practical tip: use your morning coffee as a reward or a moment of pause mid-morning. Pair it with a short walk, some light stretching, or a few minutes of planning your day. This creates a positive ritual that enhances both the physical and psychological benefits. Caution note: if you have high blood pressure, mid-morning coffee is safer than early morning because your blood pressure naturally peaks in the early morning hours. Adding caffeine on top of that peak can be risky. If you have anxiety, mid-morning timing may feel less intense because your body is already more settled. Coming in at number 2, the 2 p.m. hard cutoff rule. This is the single most important timing rule for protecting sleep quality after 60. No coffee, none, after 2 p.m. For highly caffeine-sensitive seniors, that cutoff should be even earlier, 12 noon. Why is this so critical? Because caffeine's half-life in older adults can extend to 10 hours or more. If you have coffee at 2 p.m., there's still caffeine in your system at midnight, and even low levels of caffeine can block adenosine receptors, preventing deep restorative sleep. Some evidence indicates that eliminating afternoon caffeine can improve sleep onset time by 15 to 30 minutes and increase total sleep time by up to 45 minutes in older adults with sleep difficulties. How to use this strategy? Treat 2 p.m. like a boundary. After that time, switch to caffeine-free alternatives, decaf coffee, herbal tea, or chicory-based coffee substitutes. If you're used to afternoon coffee and you're worried about missing it, give yourself a 2-week adjustment period. Your body will adapt, and you'll likely notice significantly better sleep within a week. Practical tip: set a phone reminder or alarm for 1:45 p.m. labeled Last Coffee Call. This creates a gentle nudge before the cutoff, so you don't accidentally have coffee at 3 or 4 p.m. out of habit. Caution note: if you take sleep medications, this rule is non-negotiable. Afternoon caffeine can drastically reduce the effectiveness of sleep aids, leaving you groggy without having slept well. If you're on diuretics, cutting off caffeine by 2 p.m. also reduces the risk of excessive nighttime urination. And here's the number 1 best coffee strategy for seniors: the strategic decaf transition. This means keeping regular coffee for your morning routine, but switching to high-quality decaf for any additional cups later in the day. Why is this the best strategy? Because it lets you keep the ritual, flavor, and warmth of coffee without sabotaging your sleep or health. High-quality decaf tastes nearly identical to regular coffee, especially if you choose Swiss water processed decaf, which removes caffeine without harsh chemicals and preserves flavor. Some research suggests that decaf coffee still provides many of coffee's health benefits, including antioxidants and anti-inflammatory compounds, without the sleep-disrupting effects of caffeine. How to use this strategy? Have 1 or 2 cups of regular coffee in the morning, ideally between 9 a.m. and 12 noon. After that, if you want more coffee, switch to decaf. This way, you're not depriving yourself. You're just being strategic about when you consume caffeine. Practical tip: buy whole bean decaf and grind it fresh, just like you would regular coffee. The ritual stays the same, the taste stays the same, but your sleep improves dramatically. If you're skeptical about decaf, try a blind taste test. Brew a cup of regular and a cup of high-quality decaf side by side. Many people are surprised at how little difference there is. Caution note: remember that decaf still contains 2 to 15 milligrams of caffeine per cup. If you're extremely sensitive, even decaf in the evening could interfere with sleep. In that case, switch to caffeine-free herbal alternatives after 4 p.m. Now let's talk about simple afternoon and evening alternatives for those times when you crave something warm but don't want caffeine. Alternative number 1, chicory coffee. Chicory root, when roasted and ground, tastes remarkably similar to coffee, but contains 0 caffeine. Some people even prefer its slightly sweeter, less bitter flavor. You can find Chicory Coffee Blends in most grocery stores. Brew it exactly like regular coffee. Alternative number 2, Herbal Coffee Blends. There are caffeine-free blends made from roasted barley, dandelion root, and other herbs designed to mimic coffee's rich, roasted flavor. Brands like Teeccino and dandelion are popular options. Alternative number 3, Rooibos Tea, also called red tea. Rooibos has a naturally sweet, slightly nutty flavor and is completely caffeine-free. It's also rich in antioxidants and doesn't cause acid reflux like coffee can. Alternative number 4, golden milk, also known as a turmeric latte. A warm, creamy drink made with turmeric milk or plant-based milk, cinnamon, and a touch of honey. It's soothing, anti-inflammatory, and perfect for evenings. The key is finding 1 or 2 alternatives you genuinely enjoy, so you don't feel deprived when you skip afternoon coffee. Let's make this practical. Here's a simple 7-day coffee timing routine you can start tomorrow. Day 1. Wake up, drink water, eat breakfast, have coffee at 9:30 a.m. Notice how you feel. Day 2. Repeat day 1 timing. No coffee after 2 p.m. Replace afternoon coffee with herbal tea. Day 3. Try the mid-morning sweet spot again. Track your sleep quality tonight. Day 4. Add decaf as your second cup if you want more coffee afternoon. Day 5. Stick to the 2 p.m. cutoff strictly. Notice any changes in how easily you fall asleep. Day 6. Experiment with a caffeine-free alternative in the evening, chicory coffee or golden milk. Day 7. Review your week. Did you sleep better? Feel less jittery? Adjust timing based on what worked. Key principle: consistency matters more than perfection. Even small changes in coffee timing can create noticeable improvements in sleep quality within 1 week. So there you have it. You don't have to quit coffee to sleep well after 60. You just need to respect your body's new rhythm and work with it instead of against it. The 4 strategies: eating breakfast first, timing coffee for mid-morning, cutting off by 2 p.m., and using strategic decaf can transform your relationship with coffee. You keep the ritual, the flavor, and the enjoyment, but you gain better sleep, calmer energy, and more stable health. Now I want to hear from you. What time do you usually have your last cup of coffee? And have you noticed a connection between afternoon coffee and poor sleep? Drop your answer in the comments below. I read everyone and reply with personalized tips. If you found this helpful, hit the like button and subscribe to It's Better Health. We're building a community where seniors don't just survive, they thrive with smart science-backed strategies. And remember, aging doesn't mean giving up what you love. It means getting smarter about how you enjoy it.